What I'm making right now is this dynamite chili. I got some serrano that I'm chopping up nice and fine. It's gonna go into these onions that I've had sauteing to the point where they're not quite caramelized, but nice and soft and smell dynamite. So let me get the garlic there with the serrano in. There we are. Ancho, a little bit sweeter. It's kind of got that real big chili pepper flavor, but you got to remember it's got a little fruitiness to it and some heat, but it's been dried and ground up. Now, we're gonna go a little bit more liberal with that. It's about 2 tablespoons there. The dark chili powder, remember, chili powder doesn't mean it's just a chili. There's a lot going on here. You got garlic, you got onion, you got a variety. There's a little mixture in there, and that's why they call it chili powder. I think that's meant to go like if you were just making chili, like regular old chili, but that has to go in here. Pretty predominant flavor, and that's only about a tablespoon. And then a little cumin, of course. Now, 2 cups of some beef stock, low sodium. Get the beef stock down. Now, some tomatoes done with a little green chili. I mean, not like it stands out like it's the only thing you get, but it's a pretty recognizable flavor. Okay, that. Now, here we go with some black beans. Now, this is the question you have to ask yourself. You know, sometimes you open the beans and you look in there and there's a ton of water, and other times you look in there it's a little bit dry. Well, I don't know how they're gonna pack it, but do you need the water or not? I'm looking at this, and it's kind of a watery mixture, so I'm gonna just bring this over here. Strain a little bit of the bean water off, but I'll tell you another thing about the bean water. I find that it works as a good thickening agent. So I'll leave a little bit in there and pour that in. This is all gonna simmer for about 45 minutes. Check this out. Ever work with chayote? I'm telling you, talk about some interesting vegetable. It's kind of a cross between like a potato and squash. Great Mexican food. Got to cook it like you cook a squash, but grows really cool on this vine, and boy, does it have some real neat texture to it. So what I did is took a little chayote here, cut it up, get these done up, and into a bowl with little olive oil and salt and pepper and throw them on the grill. Look at that. Skirt steak that I marinated, tequila, lime juice, all going on this fantastic chili that I made. Now look at this. Onions, beans, peppers, garlic, all cooked down, a little bit of beef stock. These tomatoes had some green chilies in them. Does that look dynamite or what? You should smell it. This is camping food in the Fieri house. Although we're doing it indoors, this is how we knock it out. Now the skirt steak that I just sliced up nice and thin, pile some of that on, so it's kind of got its own flavor and it's been charred a little bit. Then we go some of the chayote, which is, you know, like I said, kind of like a squash and a potato, and that's been grilled off, a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, nice bell pepper. So it's kind of the fajita theme right there. Get some of the creamy avocado. There we go. Some pepper jack on top of that. We give a little fresh squeeze of some lime for some acid, and then just a little dollop, some sour cream. How's that look? So you got the spice, tropical flavor coming through from that pineapple. So let's talk about the marinade for the al pastor. First, I'm starting off with a little sweet onion, and this is really gonna be where, well, if you've ever had al pastor, you'll know what this next ingredient's gonna be, and that's pineapple. All right, so what I'm doing is taking off the exterior of the pineapple, not doing it how we'd normally do it. We really take that curve to really not waste the pineapple. This, I'm actually gonna use these in the cooking process with the al pastor. We're gonna take this, use some of this pineapple for the marinade and some of the pineapple for a salsa. Break this up. Now a little chipotle. Now this is called chipotle in adobo. So we'll drop 2 of those in. There we go. Distilled white vinegar, the old school vinegar. We're gonna hit a little bit of that in there. Some garlic cloves. Now, I'm gonna need a liquid in there that's gonna work with this, gonna give that nice sweetness. Of course, we'd wanna use lime juice, lemon juice. This one right here, a little OJ. So to the fridge for about a half cup of OJ. Now the cast of characters you would definitely expect, a little cumin, some Mexican oregano, that really nice, big, fragrant oregano. That's the type we're talking about here. Some smoked paprika. There we go, just a touch of that, and of course, a little kosher salt. That's too much kosher salt. Okay. This marinade, now here's the thing I warn you. You know that you want to marinate it and you want to go long and you want to really let the flavors build. I don't think more than 4 hours for this one, okay? There we go. So the bone-in cross-cut shoulder, drop that in. Drop in, well, all that marinade. And this can go for, you can take this to the fridge or you can just let it go on the countertop. We're looking for about 2, maybe 3 hours. Okay, kind of move it around here a little bit. All right, seal this up and we are good to go. Now let's talk about the salsa. Now, get some onion. So the salsa is gonna be pretty straightforward. We're gonna let the jalapeno work with the sweetness of the pineapple. Really nice fine dice, just so it kind of just melts into it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sear off this pork shoulder. A little bit of oil. This should be pretty screaming hot. I'm gonna reserve the marinade and throw it in there in just a second because I'm gonna braise this off in the wood-fired oven. Wood-fired oven, your oven, convection oven, whatever it might be. So we're gonna drop this in, should make some noise. Just what I was looking for. Back to the salsa. Okay, so all this is in. Now, what's this need? Absolutely some jalapeno. Roll it around a few times. And again, a really nice fine dice. Get a little Fresno chili into this. Again, that same idea. There we go. Just give this a little bit more dice, and we really would like to let this have some time to come together. It'll help the jalapeno mellow out a little bit. This is really the crowd pleaser on top of this taco. Okay, we'll drop that in. Let me take a look at this. There we go, nice little sear. We're gonna get a good amount of liquid in there, but let me sear off that side first. Back to the cilantro. That might be a little much. Now I'll roll that cilantro, kind of like when you're working with basil and you were trying to get that chiffonade. And of course, what it needs is a little salt and a little lime juice. There, that goes in. Touch. Now, anytime I'm gonna throw lime juice in, of course I'm gonna throw a little lime zest because that gives that real great citrus flavor without all the acid. So we'll just give it a little zest. Remember, once you've cut that lime, it's real hard to zest it. So I'll just roll that a few times. And press. You would be amazed. Now listen, I'll tell you about this because I think you've seen it. You might not have a lime press. Here's what happens. Citrus is super expensive different times of the year. So if you're gonna do it, get everything out of it. This should almost turn it inside out. But I still watch people all the time just sitting there wringing it with their hands. Maybe they'll get a fork in there and kind of give it a little bit of work. You cannot beat in any way, shape, or form a citrus press. So look at this. Everything out of there. See how it turns almost inside out? And awesome for the compost. Okay. Give that a little stir. And we'll let those jalapenos just start to work and break down inside of all that onion and pineapple. All right, look at this. Sear it off nice. Good crust on both sides. Told you to hold on to the marinade exactly. We're gonna take this leftover marinade, pour it in on top, okay? Don't worry, that's not all the liquid. You need to go about halfway on this for the liquid to really get that braising, to get that to work in there, so it's gonna be shredding apart. So we get a little chicken stock. Low sodium, because we've already got enough of our own seasonings that we put in there. So we hit some of the chicken stock in about halfway up. This is gonna become the lid for this al pastor. So what happens, I'm gonna throw them right on top. So we're gonna get the flavor and we're gonna get all those enzymes working to break this down to make it super tender, like that. Grab a towel, into the oven, 350 degrees, 2, maybe 3 hours. We'll be able to check it, just seeing how fork tender it is. But how cool is that? Using the pineapple as a lid. Listen, al pastor, the Guy Fieri way, hanging out at the ranch, but just take a look at what we're dealing with right there. You have the skins of the pineapple sitting on top of that beautiful pork shoulder that had a chance to marinate, braised it off a little chicken stock and the marinade itself. We'll let this cool down for a second. This is what we've been waiting for. I'm telling you what, you are gonna flip when you try this. So I'm just giving this a quick little chop, and I'm just gonna drop this right back in. So look at that. Oh, Now I've got some great condiments over here, one being this pineapple salsa that I made. That pineapple with the vinegar, with the adobo, the chipotle. Now this is my last one. I'm doing these jalapeno peppers. They're gonna be going to a stuffed jalapeno pepper. Now I'm gonna do it with sausage and 3 different cheeses. The ribs are actually the hottest part of this, but I'm making like a little boat inside of this. Now check that out, okay? Now I'm using the big jalapenos, and I'm throwing them on this roasting pan, and what I'm gonna do is pop them in the oven for like 5 or 10 minutes and let a little pre-cook go on these. Because if I put the sausage and cheese mixture in there, by the time these jalapenos cook to where they're kind of nice and sweet and roasted, it's gonna be forever. I'm using a different variety of cheeses here. I got some mozzarella, of course, Italian, you got me. Little mascarpone, that's the interesting one, and a little Parmesan. If you don't have mascarpone, you can go cream cheese. But I like the mascarpone because we got some peppers here. They're gonna be kind of spicy, yeah. And the mascarpone has a little bit of sweetness to it, so the sweetness of the mascarpone will go along well. So that in a big bowl. Let me see if I'm ready here yet. I'm really about keeping that pan not quite hot enough. You see how it's not giving me a big shh? Cranking the heat all the way, but we'll just wait a second. Let's get the mozzarella down. Now the mozzarella, these cheeses will get mixed together. After I cook this sausage with some red bell pepper and some of the onion, what's gonna happen is we'll let it cool and then we'll mix it together to stuff the peppers. A little bit of Parmesan. That's good. It's about 2 to 1 on the mascarpone to everything else. Now you see a lot of times mascarpone being used in what? Yeah, tiramisu, one of my favorite. You know, I don't have a lot of desserts that I enjoy, but that's really my favorite with the lady fingers. Ah, it's great. Now you see it's a little bit hard, so I'm gonna give it a chance, move it around a bit, just bringing it out of the fridge and just give it a chance to soften up so when I mix it all together. And then I've got this sweet Italian sausage, which I've got some red bell peppers and some garlic and some onions. Cook that down. Now this is kind of about room temperature. The reason is I want to cool it down. Don't want to melt the cheese putting hot sausage in it. And I also don't want to put this hot mixture into these peppers. So I kind of mix this around a little bit. I kept all the cheeses out to kind of let them soften up so I can move them together a little bit easier. Okay. So you get this mixed together. Now grab one of these peppers. Now these peppers, like I said, I popped them in the oven for about 10 minutes to soften them up, also to make them so, you know, it's not so crunchy when you bite into it. By the time this mixture gets hot, because the cheese is gonna melt real quick, sausage is already cooked, so by the time it gets hot, it won't have enough time to cook the pepper. So kind of mold it in like that, not too much cheese, don't want it flowing over and burning on the pan. Kind of a nice little mold like that. So there you go, bunch of them to fill. Little tedious to stuff all these the whole time, but well worth it, especially when you're doing something like poker night. Take a look at them. I'm just gonna put them in. Now what's gonna happen is I've got the oven at 350, but now I'm gonna turn it to broil. Keep it a little bit off of the broiler. If I put it right up underneath there, boom, I'm gonna burn. So I want this to cook it all the way through, or gotta warm it all the way through, but put a nice crust on it. So we'll hit it up to, I think medium broil should work. These jalapeno poppers, look at them. I mean, this is the way they're supposed to be done. You've got mascarpone cheese, you got mozzarella, Parmesan, done with the sweet Italian sausage, some pepper, some onion, some garlic. Still a little bit of bite to the pepper. Dynamite. I'm gonna make a relish that's gonna go on this danger dog. What is a danger dog? What is a danger dog? I'm gonna stuff jalapenos inside of a hot dog and wrap it in bacon and then put this righteous relish on top of it. Say it, righteous relish. Okay, so here's what I did is I broke down half the pineapple, a little veg oil, this thing is smoking hot. Okay, on we go with the pineapple, save a piece for me. Nice little grill marks, not looking to cook it, just kind of put a little char to it. Take this big spoon, so I took the center seed out. I'm just gonna kind of get this right inside, twist it around, and this is super ripe. Pull all that flesh out. Let's get back to making the rest of this relish that's gonna go on top. So pickle relish, some jalapeno, little Fresno chili or red jalapeno. Fresno's a little bit spicier. Red onion, and some lemon juice, okay? Let's see what we're looking like here. Beautiful. So a little jalapeno. I like the Fresno. I want the heat. Get those jalapeno slices down. Okay. That. bowl. Now we'll get a little bit of lemon juice in there, a little acid from that. A little bit of olive oil. Touch of some salt and pepper. Go. A little bit of the relish. There we go. And a little lemon juice. Like this. Squeeze, that's a little bit of acid there for it. Lime juice would work great too. You got onions, peppers, a little bit of relish, but to dial it down and calm it down. Kind of stuck mango. Took the core of this out, and that char is going to be perfect. Those are nice and soft. There we go. Okay, that in. This is some nice applewood smoked bacon and a super hot. There's the jalapeno. I cut out the round a touch. I got a jalapeno strip, okay? So here's what's gonna happen. These are gonna cook, really just warm up, get all those flavors. We've got a hot dog, all beef dog, stuffed with jalapenos, wrapped in bacon, all put together. Check this out. We're gonna hit some mustard, this killer relish that I made starting off with some relish, some jalapenos, some red Fresno chilies, a little bit of grilled pineapple. Now we'll just hit some mustard on top, your favorite mustard. There's also a little grilled mango in there. Okay, look at this, huh? A little red onion. Now we'll get this delicious, now this had a chance to kind of set up a little bit. Check out the beautiful colors on that. Right on top. So the Danger Dog has got the jalapeno in it, wrapped in the applewood smoked bacon, and then grilled off, kind of give it a chance to render down, kind of, you know, the dogs, you know, they come out of the package, they're kind of soft. This kind of toughens them up a little bit. So you got some great texture. Tell me that doesn't look awesome. Look at that bad boy. Just like I'm in the streets of Tijuana. It's everything. Spicy, salty, sweet. I mean, if you ever told me you could get umami in a dog, that is it. But that's the time of the year. Spicy cherry spare rib. Now I'm using a St. Louis style rib, which is different than a baby back, and I'll explain that in just a second. But look at those. And I need some mustard and some dry rub. Now I'm gonna make my own dry rub. A little cayenne, paprika, and cumin will do it. Added with a little salt and pepper. So put these down. Okay, so a little bit of kosher salt, a little bit of cracked black. There we go. Just a touch of cumin. And you could kind of make a dry rub. You know, professional barbecue teams that are out there competing have kind of like their specialty dry rub that they do for their brisket, for their pork butts. And this is one that I like to use. A little paprika going down. And a little bit of cayenne, just depends on, now I don't want this super hot just on the rub. I want some spice coming out of this cherry glaze, but we'll get into that in a second. Okay, so we get a little bit of the cayenne. I'm gonna wrap these ribs in some foil in a little bit, but just get the foil out now so I can set the ribs down on it. So some foil there, and I'm gonna wrap them individually. Now cooking them in the foil for that first hour that they're gonna cook is really gonna get a chance to almost kind of steam them a little bit on themselves, and that'll even make them a little bit more tender, but I'm gonna pull them out of the foil in a bit and let them finish off before I put the glaze on them, okay? Look at these ribs, beautiful, nice and pink, white fat. Actually, I got a de-bling. There we go. And this is what you want to look for when you go to your butchers. Ask them if they've been denuded, if this silver skin on the back has been taken off. And you'll see it. It's really slick and it's real shiny on the back. If it isn't taken off, when you cook it, the ribs have a tendency to kind of curl up a little bit because it kind of tightens up. But these have already been done. This is great. Okay. There we go. Now, why do I use the St. Louis style rib? Well, the baby back is used in so many different applications. These, I think, are meatier. I think they take a little bit longer to cook. They can get a little bit tougher, but the flavor, that big bone in there, offers so much flavor all over this. Okay, some mustard. This is nice. It helps my dry rub stick a little bit, and it also imparts some flavor, a little bit of that vinegar. But just a little bit of a rub on this side, a little bit of rub on that side. I got things falling all over the place, especially when I have pork and mustard on my hands, I have things falling. Okay, a little bit on that side. See, just a slight amount to it, and then I'll take this dry rub, kind of mix it up, and by hand, sprinkle a little bit on here. And this we're going to want to actually rub into, if there's a little crevice between the fat and the bone, we're going to want to hit that area. Okay? There we go. Rub that in, get it on the sides, and then flip it. Rub that around, All right. Okay, now those are all dry rub. Now what I'm going to do is let them come up to temperature. And what I mean by that is I'll let them come to kind of room temperature before I pop them in the oven. It's going to help in the cooking process. So that one's down, that one's down. For the cherry glaze, I need an onion, I need a little bit of ginger, and I need some garlic. And a little canola oil. Onions down. There we go, get some garlic down. And a little ginger, and you know my little trick of doing that, just take the back of the knife, scrape it down. Only need about an inch or two of the ginger. All right. And that's ready to go. And that goes downtown. Little toss. All right. Now, got to grab the cherries. Now, make the dish with fresh cherries if you have them, cherry pie filling if you have them, maraschino cherries. These right here are some nice cherries in a light syrup, and this is exactly what I want to have, a lot of cherries and a lot of syrup because it's going to reduce down. So I'm going to hit in a little bit of that and then pour those cherries right in. And I'm almost deglazing with cherry syrup. Now what I'm going to do is wrap them up, and I've got a preheated oven up to 325. Okay, so wrap these up tight. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook them at 325 for just about 10 minutes. After they do that 10 minutes, I'm going to lower it down to about 225. And the reason is I want to give them a nice shock of heat, get them started right off the bat, and then lower that heat and go low and slow for about an hour and a half. Okay? After that passes up, we'll take them out of the foil, and let them cook for another hour. Now after they've done that hour, okay, at 225, I'm going to take them out and slather them in that spicy cherry glaze. So these go down right like that, pronto. 325, and I'll lower them about 10 minutes. Now on this cherry glaze, wow, look at that. You should smell it. It smells like a pie filling, but it's got a lot of ginger coming through. Well, we're gonna make a lot more flavor come standing out. Let's hit it with a little tequila. I know that sounds odd. We deglaze with a little bit of tequila. Now I can start cranking the heat because I was starting to lose all my moisture, but now when I get the tequila in there, I can bring the heat up. A little hot sauce, and this is some of my favorite right here. And we'll put in about a little bit more than a tablespoon, depending on how hot you want it to be. If you want this to be super spicy, you can hit some more in it. Matter of fact, you could even have chopped some jalapeno and put it in there, but the little hot sauce, okay? How about a little soy sauce? I like it for the flavor, a little bit of the saltiness. Okay, about a tablespoon of that. When you think of sweet and sour, when you think of spicy, sweet, sour, this is going to be part of the sour piece, a little sherry vinegar. Okay? There we go. And I'm going to put just a touch of sesame oil. And sesame oil is one of those things, add half of what you think you need, and then if you think you need more later, put some in. But sesame oil has such a strong flavor, I just want to put in just a touch. All right. A lot of big flavor coming out of this now. First went in at 325 wrapped in tin foil. Spent about 10 minutes, okay? And these are some St. Louis style ribs I did a dry rub on. Then I took them, lowered them down to 225, and let them hang out for about another hour, hour and a half. Then took them out, unwrapped them, and let them finish for about another hour. And these are still at 225, and take a look at those. Those are beautiful. Take them off of here. Nice and hot. I'm going to cut them into some sections, and I'm going to put them in this dish right here with this. Oh, look at that steam coming off. I'm going to put them in this dish right here with some of this spicy cherry glaze, okay? So these will go down, and then they're going to go back in the oven at 225 with the glaze on them, finish cooking, finish becoming a little bit more tender, but these are already on their way. They've been dry rubbed, they've been down in the oven for about 4 hours, and they are looking just outstanding. I'll put these up here and let them cool down a little bit. Wow, look at that. All right, now what I got going over here, well, I've got some jalapeno peppers, some red bell, and some onions cooking down in a little bit of pancetta bacon fat, as well as some butter. Now, here's a little trick I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna slide this back a little bit, kind of put my burner back here on this side, let the onions hang out over here on this side. When you wanna make a great burger, get some boneless chuck or some boneless sirloin and have the butcher grind it for you and make it. Well, you throw some boneless chuck into this chili, you're gonna be a winner. Okay. Run that over right into what I'm showing you here, about a 1/4-inch piece, because it does need to cook down a little bit, but take a look at that. Little nuggets of deliciousness, okay? So these bad boys back into the hot side of the pan. And I got some Anaheims and Poblanos that I went and, went through here and roasted and then threw in a bowl covered with plastic, let their own internal temperature sweat their skins off. And, this is going all into my Dragon's Breath chili, which you see working right here. Wow, I got some peppers, some boneless chuck, and some onions going down, some jalapeños in there so far. I need to clean this last pepper up and get this skin off of here. Now, saving all that for my compost and get these in. The roasted flavor of these peppers is really gonna add some depth to this chili. And that's kind of one of the things about my chili is it's got a lot of layers. Slowly cooking the peppers, slowly cooking the onions, getting the garlic in there, kind of letting everything go at its own rate, its own stage. And these get mixed in like this. Now, I've got some Italian sausage here. It's gonna go down. So you're gonna get great flavor out of this from the pork, as well as some fat mixed into it. Fat is flavor. And then look at that, little ground chuck and chili grind, so nice and thick. So got different textures of meat, different layers of peppers, different styles of flavors. There's some real complexity to this. Well, a little granulated garlic, of course, has got to work its way in there. About 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon. A little coriander, can't beat that flavor. There's, like I said, we talk about complexity. Same amount there. Little hot paprika. Now, a lot of times I'm talking about paprika and it just being kind of a smoky paprika or neutral. This has actually got a little bit of kick to it. There's gonna be some of the dimension of heat. We got the jalapeno in there. Little granulated onion, even though we have some in, the granulated will actually carry the flavor further. And a little bit of cumin, cumino. You can't beat it, especially with a little southwestern influence in this chili with some of the roasted poblanos and Anaheims. Okay, everybody in the pool so far. Cayenne, this is where you're getting the big heat from. But I'm not gonna make, with having the boys, Hunter and Ryder, I don't wanna make it too spicy. And a little chili powder. Okay. Now, I deglazed this with some beer, hit a little chicken stock, tomato paste, tomato sauce, kidney beans, pinto beans, everybody in the pool, and let it go low and slow. Look at this, okay? Now, let me just get a little taste on this real quick, because I need to add some salt and pepper. Little fresh cracked black, and a little touch of some salt. Stir that in. This is on point. Okay, so let me actually build this up real quick. I'd like to throw some fries down around the sides. There we go. Get this bad boy in here. Right on top of some of the fries. Hit a little bit of the cheese on top. Some green onion. Get in for another taste. Oh, primo.